His hands shook from Parkinson's, not fear. The store manager didn't care. She mocked him in front of everyone, called security, and had him escorted out. What she didn't know was that one customer was filming and that video would reach his grandson, a Delta Force commander, within minutes. Before we jump into this powerful story about respect, justice, and hidden heroes, drop a comment and tell us what city you're watching from. And hey, if you think stories like this should never be forgotten, hit that subscribe button and help us keep their memory alive. The fluorescent lights of Morrison's market cast harsh shadows across Walter Richmond's weathered face as he reached for a can of soup. His hand trembled, not from nerves but from a condition that had been his companion for the past decade. The can slipped, clattering to the linoleum floor with a metallic echo that seemed to freeze time in aisle 7. Linda Morrison, the store manager, materialized like she'd been waiting for this moment. Her heels clicked against the floor with military precision, though she'd never served a day in her life. Her voice cut through the ambient muzak like a blade. Again? This is the third incident this week. She didn't bother lowering her voice. Why should she? This was her domain. Walter Richmond, 91 years old, veteran of 3 wars, tried to bend down. His knees, which had carried him through Korean winters and Vietnamese jungles, refused to cooperate. Behind his thick glasses, his eyes held an apology he shouldn't have had to give. "I'm sorry, ma'am. I didn't mean—" "Save it. Maybe you should shop somewhere you can control those shaky hands. Have you considered online shopping? Or better yet, maybe someone should be doing this for you." At the register, Sarah Mitchell, 19 and working to pay for community college, looked up from her magazine. She knew Walter. Every Tuesday, same time, same items, bread, milk, canned soup, and flowers for his wife's grave. Something made her pull out her phone and start recording. Maybe it was instinct. Maybe it was the tone in Linda's voice that promised this would get worse. Walter straightened as much as his spine would allow. The purple heart pin on his jacket caught the light. His hands still shook, but his voice remained steady. "I understand. I'll leave." Linda followed him toward the exit, her voice carrying throughout the store. "And don't come back during peak hours. We have senior hours for a reason. Or better yet, get someone else to do your shopping. We can't have you disturbing other customers." Marcus, the security guard, approached with reluctance written across his face. 40 years old, former high school football player, he'd taken this job for easy money. Not for moments like this. "Sir, I'm going to have to escort you out." Walter nodded. "Just following orders, son. I understand." He walked toward the exit with the measured gait of someone who'd marched in formation for decades. His back remained straight despite the arthritis. Only his hands betrayed him, trembling like leaves in an autumn wind. Sarah kept filming. When Linda glanced her way, she lowered the phone but kept recording. The other customers had become an audience to this small tragedy, none stepping forward, none speaking up. They just watched. At the door, Walter turned back once. His eyes held no anger. Just the kind of disappointment that comes from seeing the country you bled for forget what respect means. He'd seen worse in Korea, in Vietnam, in the Gulf. But somehow, this small cruelty in a grocery store felt heavier than mortar fire. Outside, the November wind bit at his face. His 1988 Buick waited in the handicapped spot, the faded Vietnam veteran and purple heart stickers on the bumper telling a story no one bothered to read anymore. He fumbled for his keys, the shaking worse now, and they clattered to the asphalt. He tried to bend down, his knees locked. The keys might as well have been on the moon. "Let me get those for you, sir." Sarah had followed him out. She scooped up the keys and pressed them into his palm. "I'm sorry about what happened in there. Linda, she gets like that." Walter managed a smile. "What's your name, young lady?" "Sarah Mitchell." "That's a beautiful name. My grandmother's name." He pocketed the keys carefully. "Thank you, Sarah." Sir, I filmed what happened. With your permission, I'd like to share it. People should see this. Walter shrugged. Do what you think is right. I just want to go home. As his Buick disappeared down Main Street, Sarah uploaded the video. The caption was simple. 91-year-old veteran humiliated at local store. Please share. Within an hour, the video had 3,000 views. Within 2 hours, 20,000. By the time Walter reached his small house on Oak Street, his story was racing across the internet like wildfire. 2,000 miles away, at Fort Bragg, Lieutenant Colonel Michael Richmond was reviewing tactical reports when his phone buzzed. A message from Jake Torres, an old Army buddy. Mike, you need to see this. Is this your grandfather? Michael clicked the link. The blood drained from his face as he watched, then filled it again, red with rage. He watched it twice more. Yes, that was Walter Richmond, his grandfather, the man with 3 Purple Hearts, 2 Bronze Stars, and a Silver Star, the man who'd trained the instructors who trained Delta Force. He stood up so fast his chair rolled back and hit the wall. Bravo team, emergency briefing, conference room, 5 minutes. The conference room filled with 12 of America's most elite warriors. They sat with the controlled energy of coiled springs, waiting. Gentlemen, we have a personal situation. Michael played the video. The room went silent. Then Sergeant Thompson spoke. Is that Walter Richmond? The Walter Richmond? Yes, and he's my grandfather. The room erupted in quiet fury. Everyone knew the stories. Walter Richmond was legend. In Vietnam, he'd saved an entire squad single-handedly. In Korea, he'd held a position for 3 days with 2 bullets in his shoulder. In the Gulf, he'd volunteered at 67 years old and still outperformed men a third his age. What's the play, sir? Asked Lieutenant Rodriguez. Michael stood. Nothing official. This is personal. Who's with me? 12 hands rose simultaneously. Outstanding. Civilian clothes. We leave in 30 minutes. The flight to Georgia took 3 hours in a chartered plane. No one spoke much. They all knew Walter's stories, had studied his tactics and training. The man was in their tactical manuals, though his name was often redacted. And now, at 91, he'd been humiliated by a store manager who probably couldn't spell sacrifice. The 3 black Suburbans pulled into Morrison's Market parking lot at exactly 2 p.m. The doors opened with synchronized precision. 12 men emerged, all in civilian clothes, but their bearing screamed military. They moved like water, fluid and purposeful. Michael led the way. The automatic doors parted, and the very air in the store seemed to shift. Conversation stopped mid-sentence. A child dropped his toy. Everyone turned to look. Sarah was at her register. Her eyes widened as she recognized what was happening. The video had gone viral, and the consequences had arrived. I need to speak with Linda Morrison, Michael said. His voice was calm, but it carried the authority of someone used to being obeyed in life-or-death situations. Sarah pointed toward the back. She's in her office. Michael nodded and moved forward. The other 11 men spread throughout the store, not threatening, just present. Their presence alone changed everything. Linda was at her desk reviewing sales figures when the knock came. Come in, Michael entered. Linda looked up, irritation flashing across her face. Can I help you? Lieutenant Colonel Michael Richmond, Delta Force, and I'm the grandson of the man you humiliated this morning. Linda's face went white. The blood seemed to drain straight through her feet. I didn't know. What didn't you know? That he was a human being? That he deserved respect? Or that he bled for this country? His hands were shaking and he kept dropping things. His hands shake because of nerve damage from a grenade in 1969. He was pulling 3 men to safety, but you didn't know that because you didn't ask. You just judged. Linda's eyes filled with tears. I'm sorry, I didn't. You'll apologize to him, publicly, in front of everyone. But Michael leaned forward, his hands flat on her desk. Listen carefully. That man is my hero, not just mine. Thousands of soldiers consider him a legend. He's in our training manuals. He's the reason Delta Force exists as it does today. And you threw him out of your store like he was garbage. Linda nodded, her hands shaking now, ironic considering. They emerged from the office together. The store had gathered a crowd. Word had spread that something significant was happening. The other Delta operators stood at strategic points, not threatening, just witnessing. Michael pulled out his phone. "Grandpa? It's Michael. I'm at Morrison's Market. Can you come back here?" 20 minutes later, Walter's Buick pulled into the parking lot. He emerged slowly, his hands still trembling. He walked toward the store, confusion evident on his face. "Michael? What are you doing here, son?" "What needed to be done, Grandpa?" Walter entered the store. He saw the men immediately, recognized them for what they were by their posture, their eyes, their controlled energy. Special forces. And they were here for him. His eyes misted. "This wasn't necessary, son." "Yes, it was." Linda stepped forward. Her face was red. Her hands were shaking, trembling like autumn leaves, like an old man's hands. "Mr. Richmond, I am deeply sorry for how I treated you, for what I said, for the disrespect. I was wrong, completely wrong. Please forgive me." Walter looked at her. No anger in his eyes, just the weariness that comes from 91 years of seeing humanity at its best and worst. "It's all right, ma'am. I've seen worse." "No," Michael interrupted. "It's not all right. Ms. Morrison, you're going to do something else." Linda looked at him, waiting. "You're going to learn Walter Richmond's story, who he is, what he's done. And you're going to put his picture in this store with a plaque that says, 'Our Hero.'" Linda nodded rapidly. "Yes, of course." Sergeant Thompson stepped forward, holding a box. He presented it to Walter. "Sir, this is for you." Walter opened it. Inside was a new Delta Force beret with honorary member embroidered on it. "I didn't earn this," Walter said. "With respect, sir," Thompson replied, "you earned more than this. But it's a start." All 12 men snapped to attention and saluted. The entire store fell silent. Walter's eyes filled with tears as he returned the salute. His hand shook, but the motion was perfect. Sarah recorded everything. This time, no one objected. Michael embraced his grandfather. "Love you, Grandpa." "Love you too, son." One by one, the operators approached Walter. Each shook his hand, some hugged him. Each called him sir. The customers began to applaud, slowly at first, then building to thunderous appreciation. Linda was crying. Marcus, the security guard, stood at attention. Walter looked around, smiled. "Thank you. Thank you all." Michael took out his phone, switching to speaker. "May I have your attention? This man is Walter Richmond, Korean War, Vietnam War, and Gulf War veteran. 3 Purple Hearts, 2 Bronze Stars, and a Silver Star. He trained the men who founded modern special operations. He's my grandfather." What happened here today wasn't just disrespect to him, but to every person who ever served. The applause erupted again. Linda took the phone. "Mr. Richmond, I want to apologize again. Please, shop here free for life. It's the least I can do." Walter shook his head. "I don't want free things. I just want respect." That day, something shifted at Morrison's Market, not just for Linda, but for everyone who witnessed it. Sometimes heroes age. Their hands shake. They walk slowly. But they're still heroes, and they still deserve dignity. The next day, Walter's story was national news. The video had 10 million views. Linda posted an apology video. Morrison's Market announced a veteran discount program. But for Walter, none of that mattered. What mattered was that his grandson and those young warriors had stood for him. What mattered was that people like Sarah still had the courage to do what's right. A week later, Walter returned to Morrison's Market for his regular shopping. This time was different. Linda greeted him at the door, shook his hand gently. Marcus helped with his groceries. Sarah smiled from a register. His hand still shook, but nobody cared anymore, because now they knew. Those hands had held weapons in defense of freedom. Those hands had pulled wounded men to safety. Those hands had served with honor. Michael and his team returned to Fort Bragg that day, but the story didn't end there. Walter Richmond's video became required viewing in Delta Force training, listed under Real Heroes, and Linda Morrison. She was different now. Every day she looked at Walter's photo on the wall, read the inscription below it. Some heroes take off their uniforms, but they never leave service. Walter Richmond died at 93, peacefully in his home. Hundreds attended his funeral. A full Delta Force unit served as pallbearers. Linda Morrison stood in the back, crying silently. Michael spoke at the funeral. "My grandfather always told me, real strength is quiet, son. It doesn't shout or show off. It just does what needs to be done and moves on. Today, I promise to carry on his legacy." Walter Richmond's gravestone reads, "Hands may tremble, but honor never does." And at Morrison's Market, right above the customer service desk, Walter's photo still hangs. Every day, at least one person stops, looks, and nods in respect. Because some lessons are unforgettable, some heroes are immortal, and some hands, no matter how much they shake, deserve eternal respect. The story spread beyond the store, beyond the town. Other businesses began displaying photos of local veterans. Schools started programs where veterans could share their stories. A generation that had begun to forget was reminded of what sacrifice looks like. Sarah Mitchell went on to study journalism, inspired by that moment when she chose to record injustice. She often said, "Mr. Richmond taught me that courage isn't always loud. Sometimes it's just standing up when everyone else sits down." Marcus, the security guard, enlisted in the Army at 41. He said watching those Delta Force operators salute Walter had shown him what he'd been missing in his life: purpose. And somewhere in heaven, Walter Richmond probably smiled, his hands finally still, watching as his simple request for dignity rippled out to touch thousands of lives. Because that's what real heroes do. They don't just fight battles. They inspire others to be better. Even when their hands shake, even when they're 91, even when the world forgets who they are. The video remains online, a permanent reminder. The comment section fills with stories from other veterans, other families, each one a testament to the fact that respect costs nothing but means everything. In the end, Walter got what he wanted. Not revenge, not free groceries, not fame, just respect. And in getting it, he gave something back to the world, a reminder that heroes walk among us every day, sometimes with trembling hands and careful steps, shopping for soup and flowers, carrying histories we're too busy to see. Until someone makes us look, until someone makes us remember, until 12 warriors stand at attention in a grocery store and remind us all what honor looks like.